An officer in a fatal shooting that killed a one-year-old has been placed on leave. Attorneys for Luigi Mangione have withdrawn plans to use a psychiatric defense. A 15-year-old girl is brain dead after taking part in the dangerous Benadryl challenge. Here's what's shaken the nation this week. I'm Kat Pokras, and this is your weekly news recap. Israel and Hezbollah agreed to a ceasefire on Friday, but fighting continued until the agreement took effect. Israeli strikes in Lebanon reportedly killed at least 18 people, while Hezbollah attacks killed 4 Israeli soldiers. The broader U.S.-Iran agreement includes a ceasefire and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, a key shipping route for global oil. The two countries now have 60 days to negotiate a long-term deal covering Iran's nuclear program and economic sanctions. But major questions remain. Vice President J.D. Vance postponed planned negotiations in Switzerland. Israel has signaled it may not fully support parts of the agreement, and leaders in both Iran and Israel are warning that the fighting could resume if talks fail. For now, the ceasefire is holding, but the future of the deal remains uncertain. The G7 summit in France ended with leaders showing rare unity over a tentative Iran deal and global security issues. The Group of 7 praised President Trump for helping push forward an agreement aimed at ending the Iran conflict. Trump said he saw unity among leaders, though tensions followed after he joked that Vice President J.D. Vance could be blamed if the Iran deal fails. Leaders also backed stronger support for Ukraine and discussed concerns over China's trade practices. But tensions with allies resurfaced after Italy strongly rejected Trump's claim that Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni had begged for a meeting. Meloni called the comments completely fabricated and said, "Italy and I do not beg," prompting rare public pushback from a key U.S. ally. ICE is dropping most of its plan to turn warehouses into migrant detention centers after spending about $700 million on the project. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement had bought 11 industrial sites for expansion, but now says it will sell or transfer 7 of them. The plan was part of a broader push by the Department of Homeland Security to increase detention capacity for deportations. The project faced lawsuits, local opposition, and court delays, making it costly and difficult to move forward. Now the agency says it will rely more on existing detention centers instead of building new warehouse facilities. Some sites in Texas and Arizona may still go ahead, but most of the expansion is being reversed. Trump administration is planning a big increase in cases to strip citizenship from naturalized Americans. The Department of Justice expects to bring more than 250 denaturalization cases by the end of this fiscal year. These cases target people accused of getting U.S. citizenship through fraud or false information. While 250 is a small number compared to millions of citizens, it is a major jump from past years when only a few cases were filed annually. If the government wins in court, people can lose their citizenship and possibly face deportation. World Cup is in full swing, but 2 very different stories are grabbing attention on and off the pitch. The Canada men's national soccer team is celebrating a dominant 6-0 win over Qatar, but the match was overshadowed by a serious injury to Ismail Kone, who suffered a broken leg after a hard challenge. Players said the team now wants to finish the job for him. The match also ended in chaos, with a fight breaking out after the final whistle as players from both sides pushed and shoved following a heated finish. At the same time, the Iran national football team is planning to file an official complaint over what it calls inconsistent travel rules for teams based outside the United States. Iran are based in Tijuana, Mexico, and travel into the U.S. only for matches in Los Angeles and Seattle, returning immediately after games. The federation says this prevents proper preparation and recovery, adding that teams should be allowed to arrive 2 days before matches, a request they say was denied. Players also reported difficulties after their opening 2-2 draw with New Zealand, including no recovery session allowed in Los Angeles. Millions of fans filled Lower Manhattan for the Knicks championship ticker tape parade after the New York Knicks won their first NBA title in 53 years. The parade ran through Broadway's Canyon of Heroes, where players rode floats and showed off the Larry O'Brien Trophy to fans. Jalen Brunson lifted the trophy throughout the route as fans reached in to touch it. Authorities deployed around 10,000 NYPD officers to manage the crowd. Officials say there were 13 arrests and 61 medical calls, mostly for heat, exhaustion, and minor injuries, with some people taken to hospital. Despite the heavy security and chaos, the city turned out in massive numbers to celebrate the Knicks' long-awaited title. The LAPD is investigating an officer-involved shooting that left a dog dead during a response to a 911 call in Los Angeles. The call came in Saturday night from Canoga Park, initially reporting a woman screaming inside an apartment. Officers later determined the woman was celebrating the New York Knicks championship win. According to police, a dog named Jameson, a Labradoodle, was inside the home and allegedly charged at officers after they asked the owner to secure it. An officer then opened fire. The Los Angeles Police Department says the incident is under investigation and described it as incredibly tragic, promising transparency. Activists are now calling for the release of body camera footage and officer details. A memorial has been set up for the dog, while a fundraiser has also been launched for the family. An officer involved in a deadly shooting outside a Walmart in Mississippi that killed a 1-year-old boy has been placed on administrative leave. The incident happened Sunday in Senatobia after officers responded to a shoplifting call and tried to stop a fleeing vehicle. Authorities say an officer opened fire when the driver allegedly drove toward them. Inside the car were 2 adults and 1-year-old Cohen Wiley, who was killed. A second adult was critically injured. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation is leading the investigation and reviewing evidence, including body camera footage. The officer has not been named. The family's attorney says the mother was not charged and was trying to alert officers that a child was in the car. Protests have broken out as the investigation continues. A mother's tip may have helped stop a planned attack targeting a UFC event at the White House. Authorities say 19-year-old Ohio resident Tyson Proper was linked to an alleged plot against the UFC Freedom 250 event on the White House South Lawn. Court documents show the case began after his mother alerted police over his behavior, online chats, and tactical gear purchases. She told investigators he was discussing recon missions and becoming increasingly focused on weapons and training. Investigators later found alleged online messages about drones and coordinated attacks, according to the complaint. Family members also turned over firearms and tactical gear to authorities. Officials say the mother's call was key in triggering the FBI investigation that disrupted the alleged plot. A Justice Department investigation into Jennifer Newsom, the wife of California Governor Gavin Newsom, has become public amid claims of political motivation. The United States Department of Justice is investigating her over alleged tax-related conduct, according to people familiar with the matter. The probe reportedly includes witness interviews and grand jury subpoenas and has also reached people connected to the governor's circle. Newsom's office says associates have been questioned and financial records may have been subpoenaed. The investigation was reportedly opened last year by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Sacramento following whistleblower reports. Jennifer Newsom and Governor Newsom both called the probe politically motivated, linking it to President Trump. The Justice Department has not publicly commented on the investigation. And attorneys for Luigi Mangione have withdrawn plans to use a psychiatric defense in his state murder trial in New York, according to court filings Thursday. The decision reverses an earlier indication that the defense would argue Mangione was experiencing an extreme emotional disturbance at the time. UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson was killed in Manhattan in December 2024. Had the strategy moved forward and been successful, it could have reduced a second-degree murder charge to manslaughter. Mangione still faces multiple charges in state court as well as separate federal stalking charges. He has pleaded not guilty in both cases. Mangione's trial is scheduled to begin in September. A U.S. citizen has been released without charges in Colombia after being arrested over child abuse allegations. The 36-year-old man from Texas was detained in Bogota after a viral video showed him holding a child on a balcony, sparking public outrage. But prosecutors later said there was no evidence of sexual abuse or violence, and the case was dropped. According to the officials, the situation involved a child who was choking, and the man was trying to help. 3 children found in the apartment were also evaluated and showed no signs of abuse. Colombian President Gustavo Petro said the accusations apparently did not reflect what happened. The case spread rapidly online before being verified, fueling widespread confusion and backlash. 8 people were killed in a B-52 bomber crash during a test flight at Edwards Air Force Base in California. The victims included 4 active-duty airmen, a reservist, and 3 civilians working on a program to modernize and extend the aging aircraft service life. The Edwards Air Force Base said the crash happened shortly after takeoff on Monday. The cause is still unknown, and investigators say it could take up to 6 months. The aircraft had recently undergone radar upgrades and was on a test mission when it went down. An investigation is ongoing. A 15-year-old Oklahoma girl is brain dead after taking part in the dangerous Benadryl challenge, according to her family. Leah Presson is in intensive care after reportedly overdosing on a common over-the-counter allergy medication used in the viral trend. The challenge encourages teens to take large amounts of the drug to cause hallucinations and post the effects online. Her family says the overdose triggered seizures and cardiac arrest, leaving her with no brain activity. Doctors warn that taking too much of this allergy medicine can cause seizures, heart problems, coma, or death. The FDA has previously warned about social media challenges involving the drug. 2 tragedies in Central Park just days apart have put horse-drawn carriage rides under renewed scrutiny. First, a carriage horse named Denise died after eating a poisonous plant along the park's edge. The Transport Worker Union of America says the death points to unsafe conditions and a lack of warning about dangerous vegetation in the park. The Central Park Conservancy says carriage operators are responsible for keeping horses under control at all times. Just days later, an 18-year-old tourist died after a horse bolted during a carriage ride in Central Park, leading to a temporary suspension of the rides. Officials are now reviewing safety rules as pressure grows over the future of the carriage industry in New York City. Former President Barack Obama opened his presidential center in Chicago on Thursday, calling it a reminder of the importance of defending democracy. He said the center is meant to reflect how precious our democracy truly is and the power of shared civic responsibility. The opening brought together former presidents Joe Biden, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton, along with former first ladies and other political figures. The event also featured performances from major artists, including Bruce Springsteen, Stevie Wonder, John Legend, Christina Aguilera, Bono, and Eddie Vedder. Michelle Obama gave an emotional tribute to her husband, praising his leadership, optimism, and integrity during his presidency. Obama said the center reflects his deep ties to Chicago, where he began his political career and built his family life. The center will open to the public this weekend. And that's a wrap on this week's biggest stories. No fluff, just the facts. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm Kat Pokris, and happy Juneteenth.